Here, record this screen, and then use this screen for the display. This monitor is much smaller resolution, so it's much smaller information. If you record, oh yeah, this is just an update, guys. This is good for everyone. If you're an engineer and you're setting up the iMac recording, always record on the external display. If you record on the iMac's display, the video will stop because it reaches, I think, 20 gigabytes in 10 minutes, and then that's the maximum size of a screen recording. So always set up an external monitor and record on the external monitor side. Okay, fantastic. So let's go into today's meeting. We have Shintia will be leading as chair. I will be secretary, and Rizal has already set up the but I had to help. Okay, but that's okay. All right, it's my birthday. I get to help. All right, so let's go into Mrs. Chair. Let's have you proceed with your business, our old business. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, let's start the meeting. I think Mo is in the bed, so she will miss the meeting, but yeah, she can watch the video later. Okay, so first we will start from the old business one. There is from Cynthia Noyana. It's still going. Okay. Yep. Actually, okay, I will give the update from this. Actually, yesterday we have some discussion about this. Me, Mo, and Mas Rizal have discussion about the Nusa Penida partnership, and then I think we've put the discussion on the content sector. Maybe we can open it later. And for this Mas Rizal, for this business secretary about the underperforming properties.
Okay, so we're hopping to this new page. Okay.
So there is we discussed last night. We put the box house there. Yeah, we add the box house for the partnership that underperforming, and then we go back to the OKR quiz. Oh. Can I?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Wait. Should we put a message here?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Okay, done.
Yeah. Okay. We are continue to the old business from G. Could you please talk about the revenue analysis?
Yes. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, Mrs. Secretary or Mrs. Chair. So what I've done is I've taken a look, and we've done a analysis of the calendars. So if you take a look at the calendars, what we see oftentimes happen, this is Sari Garden, is that a guest will book multiple rooms, and this will essentially block the calendar. This has happened a few times with Hannah, Monique, Marie Puget, Romaine owner, Thierry, Laurent, Romaine. So what I've realized is that actually a lot of the really choice quality bookings are happening on the owner's side. So my question is this, essentially, why are we not getting these bookings, right? Why are we not getting multiple room for longer stays? Our bookings all tend to be single room, and they're short stays here. Like this is at Ayulaba, short stay, relatively long stay, but single rooms. Now, this isn't just at a few properties, this is almost at a lot of properties. I think this is a limiting factor, and it's essentially choking off our availability on this particular, on a lot of the rooms. Just a quick question over to Air Support. Is Kamel, in this case, our booking or the owner's booking?
Our booking.
It's our booking, okay, great. So, okay, but there's still, as you can see, Leslie, Laura, all these people who are booking multiple rooms. My question is this, should we actually have, and this is back to the analysis, should we actually do this? We should have a block of rooms on Instant Book. So, essentially what we're saying is that we notice we're going to forgo single room bookings, and we're going to have, let's say, a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom configuration on Instant Book. So we always rent out to groups, right? And that way, we pretend it's a villa. We pretend it's like, so the way to see, let's say, a 6-bedroom guest house is to see it as a 3-bedroom villa and then 3 individual rooms. So you Instant Book the 3 bedrooms all the time, because it seems like there's quite a lot of people who are coming with groups. And these are better bookings. Obviously, we sell more, and then they're usually for a longer time, as you can see too as well, for 3-day stays. So that's one of my suggestions, and I think this will improve the visibility, and this will not this will improve the ability to sell to larger groups first, rather than to sell to single, which we ultimately what we want. I think the case to think of is like a Villa Tortoise. So Villa Tortoise is 5 bedrooms. I forgot. It's like 4 or 5 bedrooms on the top, and then 2 small bedrooms on the bottom. But why don't we think of like a guest house like that? It's a 6-bedroom, 7-bedroom, 8-bedroom guest house. We can think of it as 2 3-bedroom villas, and then some extra spare bedrooms. And that way, essentially, we'll get these bigger, juicier bookings. Okay, so that's my revenue analysis, and that's my suggestion to content for prioritizing instant book on multiple room listings.
Okay, so this is only for the FYI, or we should.
This is FYI for now, and hopefully I would like content to pick it up and maybe create a new discussion about it if this is valuable. Yeah. Okay.
So for the content team, do you want to make any discussion for this topic?
Yes. Maybe we know a discussion about this. I think it's a good idea. So thank you.
Okay. So I'll put instead of Wayana and Gani, I'll put Rizal and Gani. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I accept the nomination.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, let me continue. Okay, so when will you start this discussion, and when will you bring the result?
Maybe the result is next week. Next.
Next
So
so on the Friday, or next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yes.
Yes, please. Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. And then we'll move to the other business or welcome. Thank you, Cynthia. And then, okay, how we can better? Please open the paper. Yep. So this is from me and from Mo. Okay, this is for the front wheel card. And then we did some experiment here, like you can see the table here. Yeah, I sent this to the guest, and I also add the message there, so you can see what kind of message I sent to the guest, and there's some response to the guest. Yeah, they give us some short response, but I think that's good, better than not. And I didn't see the of this on this tableau. But I realized something when I did some reviews on the email, and you will get increase more reviews in the total review. So I think when we give guests the review first, and it's kind of like the guest review will be shown up, so it will increase the total of the reviews. Okay, that's from me. Yeah.
Mrs. Chair, do we know when this experiment started? Because that would be valuable to know. It started on the 1st of August, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Start from this month.
Okay.
Okay, and then we move to the other this. Oh, that's from me. Any discussion maybe, or maybe anyone want to know more about this? Yes, please.
Do we have a Trello at the moment, Mrs.? Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. It's a Trello. My question is, should we move this to the Trello now? Because it's an ongoing project.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And then we move to the Trello as the new project, and then we will move to the old business from the content team. In the content, Mas Rizal, would you please tell us about this?
Okay, about underperforming properties. So I got a project this month about increase the booking of for underperforming properties. So my action is first I want to relaunch some properties that don't have any good performance, and the other action is I will do the content doctor for properties that not performs but previously got a review on the listing. So this week I will do the four listing that I will do this week. Okay, that's my
Oh, okay.
information.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mas Rizal, for the information. Maybe Mas Gani want to add something? No?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
Um,
Yes.
yes, and also this is I put this to my OKR too, so I hope any member can join my project, so we can do this together.
Okay. Okay, and I will add something to this. Like, I see that you do the tip control vector for the bamboo
Yes,
room one, and I think that's show the progress.
yes.
I this morning I just take to cooking of the bamboo.
Yes.
Yay! All right, fantastic. Okay.
Bamboo doing well. So,
Yeah.
like the recognition that you can get.
Yes. Okay, let's move to the next from Gani and Rizal. Please for the create spot for new profile. Yep. Gani, please.
Okay, thank you. I will give my update about the profile. So the administration, the profile information. I have to wait until the bank account is verified by LPNP. So I think it is need wait until 7 days to make it verified, and then we can launch the listing again.
Okay, then so we're gonna put this on the table, yeah. Okay, and we'll be back on 7 days, like
Yes,
so maybe next week, yeah.
next week. Yeah.
Okay, so we should move to the community now. Okay, I think yeah.
Mrs. Chair, permission to delete a few things. So we already understand that Ghani is getting started. So then we'll report back on August 13th. Yeah,
Yes.
on the progress of this. Okay. Oh, Mrs. Chair.
Yes.
Also, this is over to Ghani. I believe there's some frictions with setting up the tax payment system.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have VAT in Indonesia, right? So VAT is a European Union thing, and I think you can set up a 1089, which is a U.S. taxpayer thing, and then say you're not a U.S. person. That's usually what we did before. So maybe I can have a sub discussion with you on how to set up that,
Yes.
so that we don't get the IRS
Yeah.
deductions anymore. So I would like to volunteer to help Ghani set up tax profile
Yes.
for the new Airbnb profile. And also, wait, let me see if I wrote this. Wait, I forgot. We need to do something first. We need to inform Airbnb that we have this new profile. Because what happens is that if you put in too many bank accounts on a new profile, they'll start shutting it down, right? So we can't get red flag for that because that will waste a lot of content work. So we have an account manager now.
Oh, it's manager.
Yeah, here's her name. Okay.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
So
yeah,
we have an account manager. Her name is Janice. Janice is here specifically to help us grow our business. So I think for this particular case, let's inform Janice that we have this new profile so that they don't accidentally red flag it. They think it's like some hacker trying to put in too many bank accounts, and that way that will make the accounting easier. That will make also your work easier. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll report this new profile
Okay.
to our account manager. Yeah.
Okay. Let's we continue.
Yes, please.
And then for the community. Okay, I think this one is already good. And yeah, I already done some contact requests, but it will be still going. But I think we could delete it from the old business. Mr. Secretary, please delete it from the old business. And then Joker, Dominic, anyone or maybe update from Dominic? Ara, do you have any update? Or maybe Dominic said something to you?
No, he just yet. Maybe just the terminated letter that we do to property
Okay.
and the company handle. And yeah, that's the update I think so far. So not everyone is signing up to the terminated contract yet. I think just put it there until we get back and do further follow up.
Oh, okay. Then we will put it here, and then the update is there's only 2 property that signed the termination.
Yeah. Rumah Budi Susanto and Antasena.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, please put there the information about Budi Susanto and Antasena. Antasena, right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And then we'll move to the old business from Ara. I think this is has been updated. Yeah. We
Yeah.
then we could delete from the old business. And then we're gonna move to the
All of it, Mrs. Chairman?
yes.
Okay, the whole thing, yeah? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And then we're gonna move to the new business for the market building. Okay, actually this question is from me. I'm gonna ask that is it possible to move Nusa Penida's listing on adventure accommodation account to our account like Emil Wayana or Wayana and Cynthia? Probably will increase the performance of the properties and I see that the box house we got like blank. We have no reservation here until September. I see that, and I think if we move it to our account, it will is the HIR or maybe to give the special offer on the that kind of things, and also from the content things team, it will also is to manage the listing. Is it possible to do that? Yes, please.
Oh, Degani first.
Okay.
It is possible. The step is just unless the old listing and we create new listing under the other profile like relaunch. Yeah.
So yes, please.
My question is this: so on these different profiles, I just found who the account coverage is, right? So on Adventure, it's Maha and Rian are covering this. Do they need any special training or understanding to take reservations at the box house? Or is it just accept?
Just except for previously, as I know that the one that take care of Kakak account is Adele and such, but they don't actually have special training with Squad 4.
Okay.
So I think no. Yeah.
Okay. And we can monitor actually how well it does by looking if there's any requests that are unfulfilled, right, in the BB stats.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So what do you think about it?
Actually, we mostly focus on these 2 profile on Canada. So because if go to adventure account is distracting, it's not the right time, maybe not the all the time, it's different time, different. So it's hard to basically search only for communication the account if you not on it all the time. So I think it's better to train these 2 people how to direct sell or like it's like see like yeah the full and then how to do it. I don't know how they do this.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I think, okay, this is a decision, right? And the 2 factors, I think, are this. So on one side, if we distribute the property across different profiles, then we have a higher probability of course, getting sales. The other side, we have, okay, what do we do on uncertainty? Because these are Squad 1 people who will essentially be taking Squad 4 bookings. And also the night shift person who is anybody, right? Mostly Squad 2. So Squad 2 people need training, Squad 1 person needs training. But ultimately, I think if the content is done correctly, then essentially, once again, we go back to the idea, just read the listing and find out what the answer is. So there should actually be no training involved in answering an inquiry if the listing is correctly produced, right? So essentially, it just can be like accept, accept, accept. I think the risk of that is then essentially fairly low to have, let's say, Maha, Rian, D1, Rafik, Tendi, any of these people accept bookings because, well, they're accepting bookings. All the night shift people already know how to do it anyway. Am I right?
Yeah, we train them and then we tell them where to go.
Okay, so all it is a matter of Maha and Rian, right? And so if all they need to do is accept requests, and answer the occasional question, then I don't think it's too much, right? Because we already have other Nusa Penida listings on Adventure. Am I right?
Yeah, sorry, getting it.
Okay, and then my analysis is this. If we look at this chart and we look at, let's say, the listings on the Adventure account, do you see any unconverted revenue from any of the listings on Adventure?
Not sure.
Jungjung Kuning, yeah? Is it on Adventure?
No, I'm not sure then Sari Garden, but
Okay.
Sari Garden also in our account.
Okay, here's the question. I guess it goes out to content. Are there any things on this stack that you see that are on the Adventure account?
Not sure, sir. I have to check on the default too.
Okay. Here's how we monitor. If you see there's a lot of requests not being converted, that's usually because people are not sure what the property is and they're afraid to take the booking. So if any of these are already from Adventure, that means there's a leak. That means essentially people are missing out, and that would mean that she's right. Essentially, we shouldn't put any more on it if there's already leaks. But if you don't see it there, that means that everything coming on Adventure is probably getting through. There's no leak, and putting more stuff on should be safe. So this is, I think, how we can use the data to make a decision on whether or not it's advisable to allow people who are not on Squad 4 to take requests for Squad 4. If they have been doing anyway, and that they've been successful doing it, then I think we can continue. But if they're already not good at it, and they're dropping requests and whatever, then maybe we need to reconsider that. So I think that's the basis to make this decision. Either go, yes, we distribute, or no, we do not distribute. Yeah?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, I think should we have some discussion on this? And then I think okay, I will mention the content team, Gani, Mas Rizal, and also Mo and me, and we have some discussion about this, the best way about these properties that we have on AA account. And it will be tabled, and the result will be on the next on Friday, Friday on 8th.
Yes.
Right?
9th.
No, 9th. The 9th of August. And then we should move to the new business. Okay, the chapter KPI review.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's take a look at that. All right, so on Squad 4, let's take a look at how we're doing. In terms of overall, I think on Squad 4 we're doing actually quite well. Murta Beach Bungalow was one of the most unconverted requests that we had in July. Currently, it's Papasun Pulling Sea View, and Murta's still there. So ideally, if we can eliminate this, either by reducing the number of redundant listings, or maybe converting listings over to higher capacity and having instant book, then this would be one fix to that problem. Picadia, Warisan Homestay, The Box, Pulling Sea View, these are all future bookings that are happening outside of August that we're unable to convert that happened in July. So what you're seeing here are essentially the unconverted August requests here that happened in July, and the August for August is here in the orange. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, all right. So, but these are also for these might have been for July or for whatever, but for some reason we didn't get these converted. Okay, overall the ratio is actually pretty good. The ratio is, we have only about, if I can demonstrate this, I know this isn't a KPI yet, but I think this is also pretty important. Let me show you efficiency. So what I'd like to illustrate is how efficient are we at converting the total number of requests to the requests that we process. So what we measure is actually the percentage. The total request value is 8,328 that we did not process, right? That were dead requests, and out of 22,030. So that's about a 37% loss. So 37% of the requests that come in, we're unable to actually, or 37% of the value that comes in, we cannot process. That's actually good, surprisingly, because if you take a look and you compare it to like a squad like Squad 1, which I'm also on, Squad 1 has about $32,000 worth of unconverted requests out of 50. So they're almost double. Squad 1 almost has an inefficiency double a squad 4. So about 64% of the requests that come into squad 1 we can't process, right? We just have to throw away. So that's pretty grim. Squad 2 is oh my god, squad 2 is getting better. Ooh! Yeah, I know. Okay, squad 2 looks really good because their stack of unprocessed requests is but their overall request has actually gone down too. So that's not necessarily good. So we're looking at an efficiency here. Let's go to Gani. Gani, how do I measure the inefficiency for squad 2 in July? What numbers do I divide?
Can you zoom in, sir?
Sure.
Just I think that's it. Okay, so it's 17,000
17 divided by?
by, can you move to right, 40?
Yes, 17 to... Okay, and now let's go to squad 3. Squad 3 is going to be really funny. So squad 3 is essentially... all right, this is scary. This is 3,000, right? 3,345 divided by 4,885. It's almost a 64% inefficiency. So in terms of the most inefficient is squad 3, then followed by squad 1, then followed by squad
3.
2,
Two.
and then the most efficient is squad 4. So the most inefficient is squad 3, and then squad 4 is the most efficient. So okay, that's good. That means at least we're doing good on the efficiency side. All right. Let's take a look at the chapter KPIs. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, let me also go into this part. This part is pretty important too. This is our weekly sales. But let's take a look at our weekly sales for squad 4. We never do that, right? So let's see what it looks like for squad 4. Squad 4 follows the same model as the rest of the company. So it's a chi-square model. Essentially, the first week is one of your most important weeks. That's when most of the income is going to come in. So you can kind of estimate how much the end revenue for squad 4 is going to be. So if we say that, let's say 50% or 45% of the revenue comes in the first week, then we know it's going to be around, let's say 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000. So you probably are looking at another 10,000 of additional income for the rest of the month. So you can kind of predict on the squad what the end output will be. If we're currently at around 39,000, I think reasonably, given the weekly sales, we'll probably reach around 50,000, right? In terms of what our weekly sales rate is following a chi-square model, right? Okay, so that gives us also a way to estimate from company level and also squad level. Okay, so let's take a look at the past 4 weeks. SLA compliant on the week of July. SLA compliant on the second week of July for inquiries. We missed it on the third week of July. Very good on the first week of August, last week of July.
Calculate total it on and then we do combine, right?
I believe so, I'm not sure, right?
50, 60, 80, 100, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 25%. Okay, we can check overall. All right, we are looking at trends. We're looking at trends and we're looking at average. Okay, so we can look at average. This week so far we're not compliant. We're at 21%. It should be 25, but fairly close. Okay, on request, very compliant. We have 70%, 69%, 50%, 50%. On this week, once again, we're below the compliance rate, where it should be at 50%. Let's take a look at the hospitality scores on Nusa Penida. And in Nusa Penida, not compliant on the first week, not compliant on the second week, very not compliant on the third week, and very not compliant this week either. So for some reason, I think this is falling. This is normal, actually. I'll be frank. This is fairly normal during peak season because we have the highest capacity in terms of inbound guests, and we have the lowest capacity in terms of number of people available. So this is usually why we recruit market builders to help with hospitality during peak season, because it's generally a better use of our time to get this in place. Yeah, but during peak season, everything is being stressed out. So hot water disappears faster in guest houses because more people are showering. The Wi-Fi is slower. There's more frictions getting people in and out. There's more luggage in lobbies, and there's more traffic. So generally in peak season, people pay peak rates, but they're getting generally the worst service and the worst results. So it is pretty normal in peak season to suffer from these types of drawbacks, right? We have the maximum load and almost the minimum amount of capacity to support the load. Okay, let's take a look also at the reviews. Okay, yeah, it's pretty much the same across all squads this month. You can see no squad is SLA compliant on hospitality during peak season. Okay, on the review,
This week is same everyone.
yeah, everybody's kind of like the same on the 14th of July. Okay, that's pretty much it. On the community management side, no reviews have come in from Squad 4 yet. If you community manage in Squad 4, please harass the owners. Maybe get the HR person to harass the owners. And Vita's here, by the way. She's our new HR candidate. And she just sent out the employee survey. So I think getting the owners to get the survey is super valuable, and that's probably a future SLA. We need at least half the community to respond back to our survey. Okay, I'm done. Back to the chair.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, yep, there's our, should we, okay, for the squad for August OKRs, should we discuss about this? Okay, then for the, yep, we're gonna, okay, I will pass this to Mr. Secretary.
Okay.
Please.
All right, thank you very much, Cynthia. Okay, we've run out of time, as you can see, so I'm going to try to...
Actually, you have 15 moments.
Oh, because we start... Oh, okay, all right.
We're gonna,
Oh, I forgot, we started a little bit... All right, we started a little bit later. Yeah, we started a little bit later. Okay, so for this one, let me do this. I will co-host this with Cynthia, because on the next month for September, I hope that somebody else can also arrange an OKR meeting. Now, an OKR meeting is a little bit different from the regular sync up because there's essentially more coordination and more pivoting. But I think we have the structure and we can go with it. Okay, so shall we begin? This is the OKR meeting now.
okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the July OKRs. So on certain things in July, we decided to pivot, and essentially those will become August OKRs. On certain things, we decided to abandon. On certain things, we didn't have a decision because the data points weren't there. I wonder if the data points are here today. But okay, let's go down it and let's see where we are. On the July OKR, if the data specialist would like to take the time right now to put in the data, it would still not be too late. Hint, 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 hint. If the data specialist would like to put in some of the data live, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at this, reservations and air support. So we have found out that in July we were SLA compliant on the on this particular metric, but it seems like in this month we are not. So we do need to think about what type of work. Yeah. Okay, so back in June, back in the early days, we were SLA compliant, but now we're not. So how can we get better at this? So this one is a pivot. This one's a continuation because we haven't seemed to figure out what. Oh, sorry, bad signal. Okay, I'm going to speak a little bit slower. My question is active to Cynthia. Cynthia, do you want to continue this as part of your OKRs, or do you want to pivot to something else?
Okay, actually, oh yes, thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay, actually, I'm still figuring out what the best method to like push the reservation and inquiries converted, but there's something that out of our control. If the property is already fully booked, we are really hard to like as much as I want to press the accept.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Here, we're going to try reloading. Here. That's okay. In that particular case, push it up to market building because it's not something you can control. All right, how about now? Are we better now?
Better. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I will repeat again, guys. So yeah, I'm still figuring out what is the best method or what is the best way to kind of like push the accept and the inquiries converted. But sometimes if I want to do that, yeah, there's something that out of our control when the property is already full booked or when I search for the proxy and every proxy is already full booked, and that's the friction from this case. And also for the reservation request opportunity, I think As well this month, yeah, as I experienced, it's for only kind of like our document. Like, I'm not sure it will bring a high impact to the reservation converted or not, because it's just kind of like it's us to hand over to the other person that, yeah, but I think this not give so much impact on this converted for the converted inquiries or booking. Um, yeah, that's from me.
Okay.
Yep.
What you're experiencing is fairly normal. This is exactly what a pivot feels like. So certain things that we do, we have already maximized their output. So if you've already done everything you can in reservations, then I guess the next step is to do the analysis, right? Why is it that we can't get any more bookings in? Is it because that our calendars are blocked? Is there a better opportunity somewhere else? And where can we find it? So I think this is a two-step process. This is essentially, okay, this is a pivot. So we have used the best techniques in reservations, as you can see. We have a high inquiry rate. We have a high conversion rate. We have a better conversion rate than anything else. So then the next pivot can't just be converting requests. It has to be something else. It has to be maybe like we need owner limitations to how much they can use the calendar, right? So that we don't have to toss away requests. Maybe you need to give this data to Wayana. She needs to bring this data over to the owners and say, hey, look, you missed out on $5,000 worth of requests last month because I couldn't get space in your property. Do you want to have that problem fixed, right? Once again, this is Shintia's thing, but it's time to kind of think outside of your own scope and think about if this actually integrates to somebody else's scope. And that's normal. That's actually pretty normal. Because essentially, our SLAs and our OKRs are sometimes dependent on other people's OKRs. So if you maximize your own effectiveness, then it's time to ask the person maybe who fed you this input to get better input, right? And then we can maximize the work. So what I would suggest in this particular case is do an analysis and try to figure out, or if you already agree with the revenue analysis, then just really think about that particular case. Work with the content team to get more instant book on larger capacity, because we seem to get consistent groups coming. So I don't know why we're not instant booking groups, right? So when the group says 6 people, they don't see anything except the request to books. So if we move them to instant book and we just say these 3 rooms are allocation for groups, then and then reverse it and then make the request to books only so that if all the other rooms for single travelers are fully booked, then we start taking allocation into the instant book for the groups, right? Yeah. So that might be a good way to reverse it. So that could maybe fix the result. So in a case like this, in general, you want to analyze and then pivot to a different strategy and then pursue the new strategy. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So I'll do this then. Why don't we do this? Cynthia's analysis and pivot. So you can borrow existing analysis and information in that, or you can come up with something brand new, and that would allow you to then decide where you want to go for the next month. Okay, all right, cool. So we're going to pivot on Cynthia. Cynthia will continue because this is still very important, right?
Okay, and I think I'd like to add OKR for the reservation and our support itself. Okay, I'm gonna challenge myself. I will make one of our accounts to be a super host.
Oh, all right. Okay, you need a super partner. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
We
So
have a super
make
partner.
super host account profile.
Reliable.
Nice, nice. Okay, so the challenge goes up the stack now. So
Yeah,
okay, make superhost. Okay, all right, Cynthia, nice one. Superhost, and hopefully the result is it takes 3 months to get superhost, right? So
yeah.
next
Yeah.
superhost, I think assessment is in October.
October or September, I see
Okay.
the last week.
Okay, so whenever you get ready, just have it ready by October, and then you're good to go. All right, Cynthia, very nice. Okay, you got some new August OKRs. Let's go to the next one, Wayana. Revenue projections and limit the number of owner use dates. So what is the result of that, Wayana?
At the moment, I got Soncha only
Okay,
for the new one, and we don't perform that well, actually.
okay.
Songchang somehow because I don't know for what reason. And then yeah, I feel like need more booking because we have like where every that we need to go, but
Do we have dynamic pricing?
Yes.
Do we have anybody adjusting the dynamic pricing?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do because they sell it people for 50 and then I ask like 345. It's and also like neighbor selling around 400.
Okay.
And I don't
Do you want to do the same thing as Cynthia? Because I think this is pretty important. Do you want to do an analysis and pivot?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if we're doing that, then you also need an analysis. Oops. Wayana. So for August, I think start with Wayana's analysis and pivot. So figure out why is it that we're not getting productivity at Songchang, right? Because this is important. If we got everything we needed, why are we still not performing? Good question. Is it that we don't have good content? Is it that we don't have good reservations? Is it the location is wrong? Is it the property is not what people are looking for? Are there too many of these? Do we set the right number of occupancy or group size for the listings? It's worthwhile investigating.
Yeah, we don't have group listing yet.
Okay, perhaps. Okay, great. So okay, we're going to pivot on that one because that one's fairly fundamental. I think we need to get that into a good test case and then we can apply it to more properties, right? Okay, next one, market building community, pest control at Babar. That one, do you want to keep or do you want to discontinue, right? Okay.
I already told them what to do, but
Okay.
the thing is,
All right, so that's abandoned, done. All right, so we're not going to carry that over to August. Okay, to content, removing paused listings, that's already been achieved. Great. And the data, is there any data here? No. Okay, all right, we skip it. All right, next one. It's done. Okay, so Rizal assures me it's done. All right, content, to put more key attractions on the dive spots. So we have, all right.
Continue. Going.
All right, let's take a look and see what the data shows. So, increase in revenue from June to July to August. All right, at Papasun. Very good. This is after we put it in. Now, here's the question, gentlemen and ladies. What property did we not add photos to? What property did we not add photos to? Which
Sorry, sir. Can you?
okay, which property did not have photos? Did not have the diving photos added? Did not have,
Photo about the dive spot?
yeah, no dive spot photos.
Actually, I only put on the Papasun.
Okay.
Other properties I didn't put yet.
Okay, great. So what you need to do then is this, right? You need to measure the control with the experiment. So let's say Myrta Beach doesn't have any dive spot photos, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we need to do is we need to compare what the revenue increase was on the ones you didn't versus the one that you did. Because essentially you can see that every property is essentially getting that, more revenue in July, more revenue in August. What you really want to see is you want to see that this one did much better than everything else. Okay, so let's take a look at what percentages we're comparing. I'm going to compare the 3,872 from Papasun to the month before, which was 3,277. So that's an 18% lift from July to June. When did we put the dive spot photos in to Gunny?
On looking on Papasun.
Yeah, but when did that happen? Did that happen in June or July?
In the middle of July.
In the middle of July. Okay, so what we're really measuring is this. We're measuring what the August performance is to the July performance, right? So the August performance at, let's say, Papasun is 4911 divided by 3872, right? So that's about 26% increase after we change the photos for something that we change the photos on. So 26. Now what we're looking for is, yes, Tagani.
Sorry, but on the 4,090 is just the beginning.
Oh, right now, yeah, it hasn't finished yet.
Yeah, it start on August, right?
Oh.
We have to finish at the end of August, right?
Correct. Okay, you're right on that. You're right on that. But the funny thing is, actually, it's still okay. It's still okay because you should have more advanced bookings too, right? If you put in the things. So if your advanced bookings are more often, if you're still starting August, that would still mean the experiment worked. Okay? Right. No, we're going to track revenue to revenue. We're going to compare the revenue increase, right, for Papasun versus the revenue of another property. Make sense? Okay. So we have a 26% increase from August to July on Papasun. That is where we treated the property. That's the experiment. Now, if it worked, let's define our time scope. We're defining until the end of August. But if it worked, we should kind of start seeing results already. We should start seeing that August revenue for Papasun is higher in proportion to July revenue, right? So we're comparing 26 with the next one. Let's look at Myrtle Beach and see what we see. Myrtle Beach, we're looking at 2,996 divided by 2,669. All right, 12% increase, so already better. Make sense? So Myrta has only a 12% increase. They were not treated with the dive spot photos. Okay?
Right.
So you're looking at 26% versus 12%. Let's look at the next one. Warisan Homestay. Warisan Homestay went down. All right? Warisan Homestay, the August revenue is lower than the July revenue. So that already, there's nothing to compare with. It's already doing better than that. What about the next one? The next one also is down. Picadia is also down. 1,500 versus 1,700. And then the next one is even more ridiculous. The Box Paradise is 325 versus 1,700. Actually, in fact, all of them are down. In fact, the only one that's doing really well is Papasun.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, you're right. When we define an experiment, we need to define a start date and also an end date so that we know when to measure. But just from the middle of July until now, you can see that your revenue growth from this month is higher than any of the other properties that you did not put dive spot photos to. So that, I think, is a positive sign, right? That's a positive sign saying that these photos might have helped you get earlier revenue achieved in this particular property that makes it different from other ones. So it's a positive signal. Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Right. So if we got higher revenue on Myrta Beach, which you did not change, then that would indicate the opposite. That would indicate that it doesn't matter, right? So if Myrta Beach went up by 50% and you did not add the photos, then you'd start thinking, well, what was the point of the photos? But that didn't happen. What did happen was it got lower growth, and all the other ones have no growth. So this is good. This is a good sign. So you guys should continue.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I'm not only put the photo of the snorkeling or diving. I also change the title.
Okay.
With dive spot, with dive center.
Very good. So this is good. What do you want to do for August then on this? Do you want to pivot? Do you want to extend? Do you want to scale?
It continues, sir.
Okay, continue. Okay, so you'll continue this, and you just need to define what it is you want to focus on. What's going to be your new targets?
Basically on the Penida Manta Dive, it's beside of Papasun Villa. It is near like 4 properties around it. So on this month I will complete all property near Penida Manta Dive, which is near Papasun. All have already put the information about dive center.
Okay, great, fantastic. So this isn't a pivot anymore. This is a scale. So essentially, this is a rollout. Once you find out, hey, this works, then roll it out to more properties because essentially you figured out that this works. So pivot is you're trying to find the way, and this is a rollout. This is essentially you found the way, and this works, and you can continue executing on this because it works, right? The MVP is proven. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. So we got that on content. Relaunch dead listings. Over to Gani and Rizal. Rizal, what's the update on this one?
Yes, I think we got some result from this experiment. So if you can open the papers.
Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I'm very curious.
And the bottom that we can, on the very bottom, we can see the conclusion that on the very bottom. So, yes, the conclusion is, yes, as we can see, it's like our guidelines to make some relaunch strategy, and so from this experience, we have total 4 listing that fail and 3 listing that success. So we want to make pivot this month to make another that listing to relaunch.
Okay, so new experiments again, or
Yes,
Okay.
and also it's connected to the other OKR
okay,
from this. Yes.
the second okay,
Yes,
right?
yes. So from the second is complete infographic. So this I scale the OKR to. I just put.
Oh, okay, sorry, on okay.
This.
Underperforming properties.
Yes.
Okay,
So
all right.
this is connected to this project that contain relaunch again deep content vector in one project.
Understood.
Yes.
Okay, so we have now essentially some takeaways from the experiments that we ran, and we're going to apply these to the properties that are underperforming. Is that correct?
Yes.
The result. Okay, great. So let's take a look at some of these conclusions. So basically, this needs to go on the MOU, right? Exclusive. So no third-party agents, because this cramps the content development. Make sure you do a relaunch on a good performing profile, which is the only profile right now is the Emil and Bukit Vista profile, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then individual room listings are killed, right? By multiple bedroom listings. So multiple bedroom listings are stronger.
Yeah.
Then use more of them. Use more of them. Then. Okay. All right.
But the problem is like in the box, before like the multiple bedroom is the entire place will get booked, and then that listing might get bad rating, whatever happened, and then that listing dead, and then we have like
That's a hospitality problem then,
in
right?
high season, and then we have like empty room. It's
Okay.
like ridiculous.
So that I think is a hospitality issue that should have stopped before. That would happen whether there was individual or group, right? So if the listing is bad, that's not because of the content work. That's because the hospitality work isn't there. Whether it's 4 listings and they all get bad reviews, like Bing and Surf Left, or 1 listing of 4 rooms and they get bad reviews will kill any listing no matter what. So then that becomes, I think, a community management discussion, and it becomes a hospitality discussion, right? So it's not related to this. Ideally, create 1 super powerful listing for 4 rooms and just make sure that works, right? That's what we have for Lot 5. That's what we have for Green Village. That's what we have for all these big super villas that produce a lot of revenue. I mean, that's easier to do than 4 little listings, and there's 4 times as many inquiries, 4 times as many like people coming through, 4 times as many complainers, 4 times. So 1 of 4 is much better than 4 of 1, right? And then the hospitality situation is still the same. That part will not change regardless. Okay, so individual rooms get killed by multiple bedrooms, okay? And before relaunch, make sure the listing has runway. Yes, don't launch with no runway. Then there's nothing to sell in the, okay. Okay, so those are some good takeaways then, yeah?
Yes.
Should write in. Yes.
Actually, from the experiment, we can get a takeaways that Emil and Ryan profile is still form, but it's slow moving pace. You know, if you take a look at the table on the previous, from very up. Okay, so let's see. Okay, first, Bukit Vista 5, it is failed because as you can see, after doing market assessment, we found a lot of listings from the owner. So go down, and then we relaunch Pakasun Pilatu. We relaunch Emil Wayana, and it's performed. We got flat bookings after 2 weeks. Okay, so it's success. Okay, so the next is Pakasun 9 is still ongoing, and Pakasun 5 I relaunched on the same profile, and it failed. yeah, because the listing doesn't have any good runway.
Okay. There's nowhere to take any availability. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And also Bambu Bungalow 1 is success. We relaunched on different profile. Yeah. It's
Okay.
just like
This is fantastic, gentlemen. This is great. I think this allows us to then essentially next new content people that come in, we can just tell them, hey, just use this strategy. Hey,
Yeah.
my vision in the future is this, right? So any senior person here should just write workflows, right? So you write workflows and you write SLAs. You teach the new people what to do, and then when they come back and they say it doesn't work, you pivot and you rewrite the workflow. So essentially, you're always coding. You're just always coding, and you're telling people what to do. And then the new people just do it, right? And then it makes it much easier, and it's also much more fun, I think, too. That creates more abstraction.
Yeah.
So this is a way to do it. This way you can just tell them, please just follow this method, and you will succeed, right? And if it doesn't, then let me know, and then tell me what the results are. I'll rewrite the workflow so that next time it has a higher chance of success. Just quickly looking, I know we're out of time, but just quickly looking at the Emil profile, I think we saw a lot of lift already on the, okay, so, okay, yeah, I can't, because, okay, all right, I can't now, because I'm too close. All right, so Emil Wyan is finally up, right? We finally got, okay, yeah, went from 200 to 2,000 finally, so that's a good sign. We finally got some requests. Yeah, it'll take a lot of work to, I think, to rebuild it, but we're starting with 3, right? We got, or maybe even 4. We got Adventure, Emil Wayana, Emil Bukit Vista, and the new one, Shintia. Okay, Wayana Shintia. Okay, great. Okay, so essentially, Rizal's pivoting and continuing this. You're continuing this, right? So further developing. Okay, for August. Fantastic. Let's go into the. Okay, so that covers both of it, right? That covers both the launch strategy and also the amenities.
Yes.
All right, let's look at how effective the amenity was based on the data. So Rizal, can you help explain this to us?
Okay, the last month is I just do some properties that I finished the actions like Picaria, Polling Sea View, Green Valley, Buyuk Pilas, and Bambu Bunga Laut. But the one that achieved is just Picaria, so I think it's not.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so Picaria has some results on putting the amenities in, and the other ones, are these control properties or are these also test properties?
There's also test properties.
Oh, okay, I see. So in certain cases it worked, in certain cases it didn't work. That's 1 out of 4. Okay, you have a decision to make then, Rizal. So it can be essentially, I think, a lot of content. You can just do it just because it's nice to have there for customer support. So that having the amenities might make Cynthia's job easier without having to explain it over and over again to people, hey, this is what we have. But in terms of revenue results, we don't see it yet. So what you can do is this. You can extend the timeline and wait for more data to come in by saying, okay, I'm going to wait until September and see how this goes. You don't necessarily need to extend the experiment or keep on pushing forward on it because essentially the results don't show a lot of progress right now. But you can pivot in terms of intent. You can pivot your intent now as a customer support intent, right?
Yeah.
So what you can ask Cynthia is, Cynthia, do you get a lot of stupid questions from people who are not on this list? Let's go to Cynthia. Do you get more questions from people at Boga Sagara and Porimanta about the amenities than from Picaria, Polling Sea View, Green Valley, or any of these other ones?
Okay, actually I didn't get any same question
Okay.
again, but there's a new question kind of like that bed size.
Bed size.
Yeah, from the Bogas data. So yeah, I've got the content request for it.
Okay. So new questions then.
Yeah, but there's no stupid question at the end.
Okay. Great. So in this particular case, I think we have to think about the scope of what this project is. The project doesn't seem to be adding revenue on the first month's observations, but I would encourage you to do this. Maybe extend to September. See how far you want to observe. Maybe over time you'll start seeing a difference, right? The ones you apply the amenities to might have higher revenue than the ones you didn't apply to. And maybe ask Cynthia too. Which ones do people ask more questions on? So that's one way you can change the scope. You just extend the timeline. So you don't actually do anything more, but you just extend the timeline. Or the second choice, you still do it, but it's with a different intention. It's the intention of customer support and just being complete on the content. Why do we use more photos? It's not necessarily to get the booking, but it's just sort of customer support. So at least your intent is the correct intent, not like you believe that you're doing this, but actually it's not happening. Okay, what do you want to do with this now, Rizal?
I think in my vision is I will change this action to this action. So
Okay.
it's like same action, but it's more
Pivot.
It's more pivot, yeah.
Okay, all right, great. So he's going to pivot. Rizal will pivot and offer information that guests are actually asking for, right?
Yeah.
And so it'll be more targeted, more deliberate.
Yeah.
And he's also going to work on new experiments on a new profile. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic, very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Excellent. Okay, and then this one has already been discussed, and that's essentially it. Okay, so that's everybody's OKRs, except for Ara.
Yeah, so for me.
So Ara, what kind of OKRs would you like to have for August?
Apa aja?
Hire somebody to help Cynthia.
Yeah, but maybe that's the thing. Maybe that is related for squad 4 is that for sure online guest support to helping enthusiasm and with for covering new accounts. And, yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. All right. So for
The
HR,
smart one.
all right, hire
The smart one.
online guest support for Cynthia.
So,
Hey, wait, what is the how to do it? Okay. So what is the plan? How are we going to get online guest support for Cynthia?
As usual, that I will can possibly get the candidates via the mutual can be LinkedIn, JobStreet, right?
Mhm.
Is what you mean? Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll keep on springing on the Trello board for
Okay.
candidates that is applying, and then I also think that for now it's gonna be the online guest. I'm looking for 2 online guest support actually for Jogja and for Sapanida, but I would probably prioritize Sapanida since the bandwidth itself need very
Before August 31st. Otherwise, the problem solved itself, right?
for sure.
Okay.
In deadline, yeah.
Okay, but I think this is worthwhile to consider too. We have been doing these things already, right? We have been using LinkedIn, we have been using JobStreet, we have been doing this. So we really need to rethink, I think, also where the failure points are. Why is it that we haven't been able to get somebody here? Where is it that people are getting stuck in the pipeline? At what stage is the highest friction? I think what we need to do is to start calling candidates, right? So a lot of people, we email them back and we ask them to get back to us, but we don't have any control over when that's going to happen. So maybe in the future, I would think that if you do see an online guest support, maybe we can work on a method. Hey, look, you've been selected to apply at Bukit Vista. Please check your email. And then done. And then that way we don't have to wait so long for 5 days for the person to read their email, come back to us, another whatever. So I think this cycle is open to innovation to get essentially a more timely response and a more timely hire. Okay, in addition, we got another person working on human resources here too as well. So hopefully that will increase the bandwidth and allow us to process many more candidates too. Okay, so all right, new HR person as well. Okay, any other things then? What is the key result that you'd like to achieve, Ara?
For Sapanida, what? I don't know if finance is actually going to be assigned to squad 4 though, for senior account.
Not really. That's related to something else. But yeah, we got to figure that out too. Got to figure out who's covering the squad 4. But let's just say for this squad, I think you're looking for essentially an online guest support for Nusa Penida and one for Jogja. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Done. So we have a goal. Okay, that's pretty much it. We're about 15 minutes over time, and let's decide. Back to the chair.
okay, thank you for the OKRs. And then we're gonna meet again on 9th of August, and the chairman should be.
Wayana, yeah?
Yeah. Wayana, then the secretary will be Rizal, right?
RS, yeah.
Yeah. And then the engineer is me.
Yeah, Cynthia.
Yeah, me.
Okay.
Then you're with me and I adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Okay, thank you guys for your time and have a good day.
Okay, have a good day. See ya.